this kind of rainy night. I was wondering where the sunshine went, but welcome. Thanks for coming out, and I know some folks will come in. I'm Larry Brickner-Wood. I'm a chaplain and director of the United Campus Ministry, and many people know as the Ways Meet Center, right on the east edge of campus there on Mill Road. And we're proud to be one of the sponsors of this event tonight, and I want to thank you very much for coming. And when Mark McPeak mentioned this summer that they were trying to put this together and asked if we would participate and be co-sponsored, it seemed like such a natural thing, because part of the work we do at the Ways Meet Center is really trying to connect the various issues of environmental justice, economic justice, social justice, human rights, peace, and a sense of spirit in all of that, no matter how you define that, no matter how you might identify yourself, that through all that runs the spirit of humankind, the spirit of things that transcend the material world. So it seemed like a perfect connection for us. And also because we're people on this planet too, and it is always a little bit head-scratching that something that seems to be staring us down, and we hear from such wonderful people like our panelists today that we've got some issues to face, and for people that like to think we rise to the occasion, someone my age keeps saying, well, when are we going to rise? When are we going to rise? So thank you for coming to help that rise and that revolution continue. I'm going to introduce one of my dear friends here on campus, one of the co-sponsors of this program, the University Dialogue here on campus, and the person that really makes that wonderful series of events and that wonderful thing that's come to know as the Discovery Program work is my friend Michelle Holt-Shannon. So I'd like to bring her up to do an introduction.
Larry is one of my favorite community organizers of all time. So this year, the Discovery Program sponsors the University Dialogue as a theme that goes throughout the year. Every year, we're in our 4th year, and this year's theme is The Growing Divide, a University Dialogue on Poverty and Opportunity. And it's been my pleasure to work with our faculty authors who have written, this stuff is online, they've written essays in a monograph to serve as sort of a common text for us, and then we have a variety of programs throughout the year. And I'm so delighted that at a university where we are really doing great work around sustainability, that we're able to start to make connections between climate change and the environment and poverty and low-income people. And so I'm really delighted actually to introduce Stephanie Dimmons, who's with Oxfam. She is a New England field organizer, and she's been a grassroots community organizer in a variety of issues on the environment, election campaigns, foreign policy, and climate change, and is now working with Oxfam on their campaign to address the human impact of climate change. Incidentally, the students with, I don't know if anyone here is a student with UNH Oxfam. Anybody UNH Oxfam? And UNH 1, they're actually collaborating a lot this year, and I've been working with those students. And they're so wonderful, and they've been involved in really some great things, including the Empty Bowl simple meal that's coming up on Thursday. So thank you, it's delightful to have you here, and Stephanie.
Thank you, Michelle. And a big thanks to UNH for being co-sponsors of this event and hosting us here tonight. I also want to, on behalf of Oxfam America, thank the other co-sponsors who have been working hard to bring this event to you guys, specifically Mark McPeak of UUSC, who's over there, as well as Sarah Lynch over there in the corner of CARE. To all of you guys for coming out tonight and spending your evening learning about climate change and how you can take action. So thanks. It's great to see a large, diverse audience here ready to learn and take action. So thank you guys. As Michelle said, I'm the organizer with Oxfam America, the New England field organizer. And as Oxfam, we're an international relief and development organization. And our mission is to create lasting solutions to poverty, hunger, and social injustice. And it is because of this mission that we have undertaken a campaign to create equitable solutions to the climate crisis. Our goal with this campaign is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and also set aside financing to help poor and vulnerable communities locally, nationally, and globally that are already suffering the impacts of climate change, to help them cope and adapt with these impacts. I think it's safe to say that everyone here in the audience tonight has seen images on the daily news or in the local newspaper of the increased droughts, floods, and disasters that are happening around the world. So you're seeing the impacts on the environment and on people of climate change. But what we don't always see in the media or read about in the paper is that the fact that the poor and vulnerable communities, as I said, locally and globally, are already suffering the effects of climate change. These are the people that are least responsible for the change in climate, but they're bearing the brunt of the impacts. They're hit first and worst. So in being part of this discussion today, we hope that people walk away seeing climate change as not just an energy issue or an environmental issue, but also an issue that is impacting people, specifically the hardest poor and vulnerable communities around the world. And we are lucky tonight and fortunate to have 4 very knowledgeable panelists that will speak to, from a variety of perspectives on these impacts of climate change. And we're all here because we know the effects of climate change are being felt right now. It's not something in the future. We know that action needs to happen now. And we know that the climate crisis is urgent today, and that candidates really need to be talking about their climate change policy solutions and positions. So I look forward to a lively discussion with all of you coming up in this hour and a half. Bringing together expert speakers, as we mentioned, and a motivated audience is obviously a big task, and one that Mark McPeak, Executive Director of UUSC, Just Democracy, has really led the charge on here for the past few weeks. Mark has spent his career dedicated to building a fairer, more just world, both locally and globally. So it's my pleasure to turn it over to Mark McPeak.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. It's been great working with you on this event. And thanks to our co-sponsors here at UNH, Larry and Michelle. And also, Brett from the Sustainability Office couldn't be here, but they're also a co-sponsor. And thanks to Sarah for being a co-sponsor also from CARE. Just a quick couple of remarks. Over the summer, as our nation's financial system began to fail, we saw political campaigns at all levels really stop talking about climate change. Some say that warning signs about our financial system were clear a year ago, while others say that nobody could have predicted it. But for a very long time now, warning signs of the climate crisis have been abundantly clear. This crisis is easy to predict, and we know that its consequences will dwarf the current financial crisis. So I'm excited that we have such a stellar